Hello, welcome to my channel for Evolved Humans. I am Ms. Day. This is a collective reading. So the first thing that I was actually feeling and hearing was to do with, whoever you are, I think that someone is looking at you. I feel like there is a past loved one, feminine, and there's also like this feeling that, gosh, it even goes into like a child type feeling, motherly, all sorts of stuff. But there's this feeling of, I feel like someone, whoever this reading is for, it's like you feel really bad for the feminine. I don't know if that's in you, in your family, your own daughter. I don't know, but it's like there is a need for you to protect someone's truth, someone's story. Okay, so that's one of the things I was thinking at first. I thought not only do I feel like someone may have wounded the feminine, I feel like the feminine wounded you. And it's almost like you're so bright and so clear of mind. Like you've really developed in a way that you have clarity in here. I think that you're more artistic than you know, because I think you like literary. I think you like books and studying. I think that you like science. I think you like words. And I think that you don't realize how creative you are because of that. Like that's your creativity. That's your artistic side. Okay. And it feels like there is this space in here. It's like what you're in need of is almost like an outpour. Whoever you are, I got this feeling right away that there's this like almost too mature type of masculine feeling where I think, and when I say masculine, feminine, I mean the energy stuff. Not like your body. So when I feel like whoever you are, you have all of these neat abilities and like quirks and stuff. And then I feel like you almost withhold them from the world. And it's like there's this strange feeling in here of always watching your back. I pictured this scene in Walking Dead years ago. I don't know what season it was. I don't know. But like, if you haven't seen it, like the dad, Rick, has a kid named Carl, and he just raises Carl to be a little badass in the zombie world. And one of the ways that he did that was being very literal and realistic with him. He made sure that he was clear, even though the information was unpleasant. So one of the things that I just like thought about was one time when him and his son were like in a church building. They were just like cooped up in it for whatever reason. And he saw his son starting to relax a little bit. And I think he saw joy. And he wanted to remind him, and he did. He was like, you're not safe. Ever. He was like, you are never safe. Never let your guard down, because it will never be safe to do so. That is not the message I'm giving you, but it's interesting because I feel like that's how someone feels. Like, I'm not saying feel that way. I'm saying I feel like whoever this reading is for, I got this feeling of like you always having to put yourself last. You always having to put your emotions to the side for other people. I know a lot of people think they do that, but like this feels like I think that you have been surrounded by that so much that nobody validates you to this day that is actually how your surroundings have been. And I feel that some sort of like feminine in the past loved one, this is not everybody, but it sure feels big. Feels kind of like a crowd. But I feel like there's feminine that's kind of feeling almost, I don't know if you feel like you get the trickle down from like our ancestors. Sometimes it's literal sociology. It's just the way that like it trickles down because this was their lifestyle. Well, then that's what they found familiar, so that's what they adapted into for themselves and their new offspring. And that trickles down into now. Like nobody's free of that. And so whatever this is, I think someone too is struggling with this. I don't know if you've heard people saying that the world needs to know your story, like you need to share your story. I think that whoever you are, you're really good with words. And I think that a part of why you hesitate is because you do not want to share personal details with the world. And I think you don't have to. This is like saying, yeah, you're right. You're not actually one of everyone else. Like if someone else were to think that's what they have to do based on their own perspective, you're a different person. You're allowed to see it differently. And that's why you see it differently. That's because you're a different person. And I think the way that you are going to, that you're doing it now, whether or not you're fully aware, I feel like you're embarking on this sort of spiritual journey where you're going to start to realize all of the ways that you are open to consciousness in the world around you, like all the time. I think that you are becoming open, though your mind may think you're hesitant. Like I think that you are doing it. And what this trickle down is, it's like, I feel like they're trying to take weight off your back. Like don't protect so much that you don't use your own creativity in the time you have. Because I feel like you don't think you're an artistic being. And I think a lot of that is you being like able to set yourself to the sidelines, while other people were at the forefront. And they want you to know that this is literal. This is that line that you can do anything you put your mind to. And I mean it so freakishly real because like one of the first things I felt was you have a very bright mind. It's very bright. I feel like it's very clear. God, that's not exactly common, is it? So use that. They're saying use it. Don't withhold because you think, well, I don't want to share my personal details. Okay, then don't. Then what else can you do? Like you're so smart, you can come up with something unique that's going to do something different. Don't hold yourself back based on, well, I don't see how I can fit into the boxes. You're not meant to fit in a box. And the other thing here is too, I think that whoever you are, you've gone through so much that no one's been there. This is so weird, but it's like you've grown yourself. You've parented yourself in so many ways. I don't know if that's because you had to or because you just kind of took that sort of dutiful role within yourself as you were developing. But whoever you are, it's like they're trying to tell you, you need to let some stuff out. It's time to relax. Oh my gosh. And I'm just another Walking Dead scene. Why? But this Walking Dead scene that I'm just like picturing now, which I saw it earlier and I just thought I was nuts. Go with it. But like, it's when Rick, the father, this dude who's like constantly like, we're not safe. I'm watching everybody's back all the time. he was at a party and they had like this walled up little community at some point along the line throughout the seasons earlier on. And one of the things that he did one night was he like let himself cut loose, and he hadn't done that. He was like, I'm always on. I always have to be on. It's like he forgot what it was to just be. And I feel like they're trying to tell you, like, the reason you don't really feel like that is because you need to bleed some stuff out. It feels like a surface type of thing. Like, I think that you need to allow the space for you to experience things. You know, another thing I'm thinking is it feels like it's so crazy because there's so much huge like potential in here that it's weird how stagnant it feels. It's like everything's almost like tense, like it's ready to move and it's looking clearer. And I feel like for some reason that makes you less comfortable. And it's like, I think that you're not sure what's holding you back. And this feels like a little surface bleed out. So sometimes, like, one of the things I realized with having like my own business several years ago, when I was beginning as a personal trainer and yoga instructor and meditation, all that stuff, it's like one of the things I realized was that the more I put in my schedule, the more pressure I put on myself to like deliver or like create results out of something, the more I needed to periodically have a breakdown. And I don't mean to like a creepy degree or anything like that. I just mean feeling like overwhelmed and just kind of releasing all of the hesitations and all of the resistance, because now I've done all of these things, and it's like I had to just kind of release it out like this. I just feel like it's a sponge type thing where you just kind of have to wring it out and let the dirty water out and then like replace it. And it's not like dirty, like negative stuff, but I'm just saying, like, when this began, this is so weird. But I feel like maybe you feel silly about saying this or visualizing this. Maybe you think you've seen too many movies or read too many books. But like, I feel like you've had a rebirth type of experience. And I don't know what that means for you. But it's just kind of this feeling of like, I think that you've eliminated a lot of dependency issues in your life. Maybe that's why you're afraid to step fully forward. You know, stepping fully forward is not... Hang on, sorry. Sorry about that. So, just a second, I dropped some cards. So, with that, so anyway, that breakdown thing, it's like, I think that someone in here, I think that stepping into this new place, maybe you're afraid it's solidifying a closed door to the past. And like, even though you want change and you want like these new experiences, like maybe that scares you because I feel like something's holding you back. It feels like something is emotionally sort of triggered with your own growth forward and your own potential. And that's where I think it ties into like some strange thing where you're so used to off-putting your own needs. You know what else? I think that you're one of those, I think that you've experienced people. This is not, I think that you don't like people talking crap. So just take this where you need it for your own healing, like wherever it can be productive. But I think you're one of those people that you were wounded and kind of put off. And I don't think you got solid apologies. Like, I don't think people were necessarily accountable for how they how they wounded you. And I think that you don't like to hold a grudge. And I think that's because of what you experienced too. I felt like the feminine maybe wasn't the greatest experience in your whole life. So something that I mentioned in my members, in a reading in there, it's coming in here, where it's like, sometimes I feel like you're the type of person who, you know how you can go to work? I think this has to relate because this is about your personal needs, your physical needs, and like your diet, like what you're taking in. I think that you can put more energy and focus into it. You're more capable than you put the time into. Like, I don't think you do it for yourself. And I think that has to do with this blocky type situation in here where everything's kind of stagnant. You have the full potential, like all the opportunity is there, and it's like it's just not being taken advantage of. So with that, one of the things I mentioned in my member space was that it's like I could relate to people in my youth when I started working. Like, I think a lot of you are like this. I feel like there's a lot of similarities in certain things like this. But where there was so much like emotional turmoil in certain parts of life, and then in adulthood too. It doesn't have to be in your youth. Like when you're going through turmoil, even somebody I know, even like going through like, or even myself, like when you go through like divorce and you're going to work every day and you're like, I have a good attitude at work. Nobody knows. Like, they're like, oh my gosh, this person's always happy. Everything's always fun when they're working there. And it's like, you don't put your emotional circumstances onto other people. I feel like if it's easy to do that for you, if you can relate, like I just remember feeling like work is awesome because you go to your job and you get paid to not give a crap about anybody's feelings, just do what makes them happy, to not give a crap about your own feelings, don't worry about health, like you have to be caffeinated to be there too. All of the things that like make it easy to just do a good job, get paid for it, and leave. All of that, it's like it feels like a safe zone, you know, like a safe place to go. Even people who are in bad relationships and they just need something that's stable and solid all of the time. Predictable, you know? I think that you need to visualize establishing that with your physical needs, like what you take in like within 3 hours of going to bed. Like if you have this problem and this problem and this problem, it's like, are you complaining or are you that Bare Naked Ladies song? Like, I just thought about that line in it again, that rebuild. Like, it's time for you to prove that you've come back to rebuild. Don't start with the same shaky footing. And if you're not starting something new, but you know you could put more focus into that, then don't sell yourself short. Like, give yourself better. And I think that if you bleed out some emotions, and like, here's the thing I need to say about that. Yeah, it might be from you. For some of you, I feel like you need to bleed out and release a past you. Almost like, you know, how you could picture like exercising something, where it's like you have to visualize this sort of little whiff of consciousness out of you in a way. Like it's over and done with. You've overcome it. But then for some of you, I feel like you need to have breakdowns because you're processing so much so rapidly. And I don't think it's always going to be tied to actual emotions of your own. I think you're bleeding out residual crap to make room for the new. Like, I don't think this is all the deep, dark stuff where you're going to have to go in and figure it all out. Like, I think that you've really faced your stuff along the way. Alone. And without validation. Sometimes having no validation, it kind of makes me think of like when we lack like a father figure and there's no direction. Like, not everybody, but I've just heard so many men say that like if they don't have a father figure, that they're lacking direction in their life. They didn't see the right type of example. And it's like, well, and it doesn't need to like tie into weird stuff. I'm just saying in general, there are certain things that like sometimes we need family or parents to say or a role model to say. And that's what makes us like able to accept who we actually have become. Because like we're in here all of the time. So naturally, I mean like no matter what age you are, you're still the person who started. Like it's not a new house you're looking out from. It's the same house. So naturally, sometimes it can really give you that solid footing when you need it to reach up and just kind of like ask for confirmation. And if you can't get the messages, then cry. Let yourself feel overwhelmed and get it out. Your vehicle knows what to do. When you're putting your intentions into the good and growth, then your growth is going to be good for everyone you know. Because you can't grow in a way, in a high vibration and be a bad person to someone who's not growing. Even if you're not viewed in a high vibration, like, or in a positive way, like, your growth is important to the world around you. So, like, if you have to cry some stuff out, and it might just be because they're literally nudging you, like a friend that's like, hey, you feel stuff. Like, you feel. Let that out. That's okay. We all have to do that sometimes. Oh my gosh, this is so cute. Painful, okay? But like, I just pictured that. I think it's Karina. Whoopy Goldberg and just this little girl. And the little girl loses her mom. And I think Karina is like, I think she's like telling her like, does that make you mad? Like, how do you feel? Like telling her little girl, basically giving her permission to be all the stuff. Whoa. So something I thought about today, and then I thought about it when I first laid out the reading, and I didn't go into it because it slipped my mind until now. And something that I was told by this super strong in her faith type of woman years ago, and it was really cool. She was doing yoga with me, and one of the things I loved about her faith that like I hadn't necessarily related to yet was she was like, every now and then, she was like, I have it out with God. And I was like, what does that mean? And she was like, she basically said that she would drive out in the country and have a sit down screaming fest where she just said how she really felt. And afterwards she felt better. And sometimes she cried and said sorry. But it was like just this super release, And it's like, look at all the crap that you have to carry in this life. Look at this world. It's okay to let it out. They're like, duh, we know. That's why it's so hard for us to hear them. Because it's so low frequency here. Okay, so the song that I heard was Blue October, Hate Me. And this is awful. But some of you need to feel your real feelings because your real feelings they represent your actual conscious awareness during another space and time. That's why it's called inner child healing. So if you're looking way back, and you're looking at the past, why is it called inner child healing? Because you're still seeing yourself from the same perspective as that child at that time. When it's not healed, it still looks the same from the inside, looking out. So it's like when you heal, you're actually replacing that perspective with a new, evolved one. And so sometimes this is really hard. And like, I understand how batshit crazy this might sound, but I have had to experience, like, just an example, having, when you go through your own growth and certain people you love in life, like, don't. And you just kind of like, after trying for so long to help them grow with you, you have to let go of their hand and keep moving forward. And just hope that they're going to make that call. But they don't always, do they? And I feel like, so I've had those moments. This feels like one of those moments for someone where you've got to allow this. I even remember experiencing this. This is a specific thing I'm thinking of. And it was that song. And it just came on my phone out of nowhere. Like, that's not exactly uplifting. I used to love it, but like, I hadn't listened to it for years. After so many losses, like, I just didn't want to hear that song. And then I heard it tying to a relationship that I thought something was screwed up in me, because I had forgiven this person. And I was like, I've forgiven them. We have a cool connection again. Like, it's a different type of thing. We reestablished something with a new grown perspective. But I felt like something was still in the way. Something was holding me back. And that's what this feels like. Something's holding you back. And it's truth that you don't like, because you're nurturing and you're so loving you don't like it. But you know what? Sometimes the truth hurts so that it can leave. It has to be a sensational thing that comes out to the surface. Stop burying it deep down in. You've got to let it out. Ugh, this annoying thing just popped in my head. This Tinkerbell movie, it was like a little Tinkerbell special. I love the Tinkerbell movies, but there was one special, and I'm just like, my daughter liked it so much, I can't. This was 2 kids ago. Like, I can't do it. It's over. It ended 2 kids ago. Like, we do all the other movies, but not that one. Because the girl says, dig down deep and break the streak. And she says it so much. And something about it just like, anyway, that's what I just heard. Dig down deep and break the streak. But anyway, so in this moment, that's actually not funny, it was dreadful because I didn't know what was wrong with me. And I felt like I was having like an emotional breakdown. It was one of those days where I kind of like let out my overwhelm. And then I was like, I'm not okay. I was like, I'm still not solid. What the hell is wrong with me? So I drove to a lake because I like water, and I parked by it, and I just parked, and I was like, what's wrong with me? And then I heard that song, and I was like, that's it. My truth was, I hadn't released my negative perspective of this person yet, because I hadn't fully faced it. The inside of me got kind of dark and ugly when I was looking out at someone I was disappointed in. Because I wasn't only disappointed in them for me, I was disappointed for other people. And it's like, that was holding me back. It wasn't holding them back other than from me. But like, that was holding me back. And that is why I had to face it. And I had to grieve that I had developed hatred for them. I had to let it out. I had to cry out that I had become something that I thought was ugly. So, if you need to do that, you're not ugly. Face it with the nurturing of a mother. Because I feel like that's what this is. It's like you have that tenderness in your accountability, and that's what blocks you, is when you think someone else is going to get the light shown on them in a negative way. Which is quite sweet. It's almost like you're so protective, you don't even let yourself heal fully. You've got to see the full truth. And that's releasing past versions of you. And that's because you're replacing it with a new one. You know, these things, that's something I thought of earlier today that I feel like someone needs to know. One of the first lessons I learned when I was starting to interact with past loved ones is they don't push unless something can move. Like if something can move, then they're going to push. If there's any chance at all of you making a new decision, they're going to give full support to make that happen. Sometimes support is pressure. Beautiful. Even just makes me think of a diamond. Yeah, so don't see it as like weakness if you have to bleed things out periodically right now. I think that you're releasing residual crap from the past. And you deserve to. You deserve to let those go because you don't deserve to carry that as a part of your outlook on life and your own journey. Because what we expect to happen, like this is important. Like, what do you see in your future? Because if you're not able to see light, then you've got to remove past dark. Because that's the only something's holding you back. And this creative, clever way that you can manipulate and learn, like, I feel like they're like, you're so smart. You can maneuver your way through this and actually come out on top, like in a way that other people can't. You're unique. How cool. Okay. So I'm going to end it at that. I hope you have a good rest of your evening. If this resonates, definitely let me know in the comments. Subscribe if you ever feel like they resonate. It doesn't matter when you hear it. I'm realizing certain readings pop up at the right time. Also, join my members if you want to learn about becoming a medium more. I'm just going to start talking way more point blank about mediumship all the time. And doing more workouts in there because I haven't been doing it enough. So I thought that would be a fun way to hold myself accountable. All right. So have a good rest of your night. All right. Bye.